What the Utah Jazz are doing right now is both despicable and disgusting. Pulling your best players in the fourth quarter in hopes that you will lose the game is unacceptable. A lot of teams tank, but at least act like you're trying to win the game. If you want Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen to play less in the fourth quarter than they should, okay, fine. But don't blatantly try to lose games and just make them. It's a slap in the face to everybody who showed up to the game. It is a slap in the face to season ticket holders, and it is a slap in the face to Adam Silver, which that I don't really mind because Adam Silver has caved at every turn for the players and for the owners, and he has yet to put his foot down on anything. And if there is anything that he needs to put his foot down on, it is what the Utah Jazz are doing right now. He should heavily fine the Utah Jazz for what they are doing. And we've seen the NBA do this before. Go back to 2023. The Dallas Mavericks had a first-round pick that was lottery protected or top 10 protected, something like that. And the Dallas Mavericks purposely lost like their last two games of the year. Purposely sat Luka Doncic and their best players. That way they could increase their lottery ball odds. And it worked, and they got to draft Dereck Lively. But the NBA fined the Dallas Mavericks $750,000 for resting their players in those final two games. The Utah Jazz are doing the exact same thing right now. The pick this year, top 8 protected. So they're going to do everything that they can to ensure that they keep their pick. And they're not the only team doing this. The Indiana Pacers are doing it. That's why Zubac isn't playing yet. Okay, you can work your way. There's several teams right now that are blatantly tanking. These are just the first two teams that come to mind. But instead of tanking like one or two games, like the Mavericks did in 2023, these teams are starting before the All-Star break. Usually the tanking starts after the All-Star break. Not this year. We're doing it before. Tanking's part of the NBA. People have thrown out some ideas on how to fix it. I'll get to those in a second. But let me just very quickly say that the best way to fix this is just to impact the Utah Jazz's bottom line. And I'm using them as an example because they're the team that is most blatantly tanking. Fine them millions of dollars and the tanking will stop. It won't stop entirely because it's beneficial for them to tank. The Jazz and the other tanking teams are going to continue to say that guys are hurt when they could probably play. You know, they'll continue to play their better players less minutes. We've seen this for forever. Okay, the Rockets and Bulls, they tanked in 84 and they were rewarded with Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan. The Spurs tanked and they got to draft Victor Wembanyama. The Thunder tanked multiple times, just shut Shai Gilgeous-Alexander down at the end of the year, and now they're one of the best teams in the NBA. 2023, the Mavs, they end up getting to draft Dereck Lively because they tanked. It is simply too beneficial for teams to tank for them to just randomly stop. So how do we remove the benefit of being bad? Richard Jefferson's idea, probably my favorite. He basically thinks that the lottery should be dictated by the team's record or winning percentage after they've been eliminated from the playoffs. So whoever has the best record post-playoff elimination has the best lottery odds. I've heard the idea that, lottery odds should just be spread out even across the board. I heard another guy say that they should do the draft lottery during All-Star Weekend because it would make All-Star Weekend a little more interesting. It would also remove the tanking that happens after All-Star Weekend. The issue with that idea, because it is a really interesting one, we don't know who's missing the playoffs at that point in the year. I like the idea of rewarding teams that win after they're eliminated, but then the teams that are legitimately bad wind up getting punished. Even odds for the lottery could lead to teams purposefully losing play-in games, so I don't think that would not be a good thing either. There is no fixing tanking unless you get the owners involved. Every owner cares about one thing. They only care about how much money they make. The easiest way to fix tanking is to find these teams mass amounts of money. If Adam Silver is suspicious of these teams purposefully losing games and tainting the product, because that's what they're doing by purposefully losing, by purposefully not playing Jaren Jackson Jr. in the fourth quarter, by purposefully not playing Lauri Markkanen in the fourth quarter, you are tanking the product. It's like why would I watch that game if the best players aren't playing? If you're there and you're in the stands, as soon as you realize what's happening, you should just leave. What is the point in going and paying that money for these teams just to purposefully lose? And if Adam Silver was just to fine these teams mass amounts of money just for being under suspicion, the owners would walk into their general managers, their coaches, and their players' locker room and say, hey guys, the idea of drafting Darryn Peterson sounds nice, but I just had to pay the NBA $10 million because you lost on purpose the other night. And I would like to not lose $10 million again. So how about we try to win some games? I don't think they would say it as kindly as I just did right there. But that's about how the conversation would go. I think that the NBA should do the same thing with flopping. When a guy flops, forget a $5,000 fine. Fine them $1 million every time they flop. And if they flop in the playoffs, fine them $1 million and suspend them for the following game. If we want to get these things out of basketball that in part ruin the game, that in part make the product unwatchable, start impacting the players and the owners and the coaches' bottom line, and it will amaze you at how quickly these things get fixed. So, impact the bottom line, and the tanking will be fixed very quickly. And all of this tanking is happening so that teams can potentially draft Darryn Peterson, Cameron Boozer, or A.J. Dybantsa. I never say his name correctly, so I apologize. I'll do more NBA draft stuff as the time gets closer, but let me go on the record with something really quick. Darryn Peterson will not be the number one player on my big board, and I think that whoever winds up getting the number one overall pick, if they take him, it will be a major issue for them going forward. A.J. Dybantsa will probably be the number one player on my big board because he actually plays basketball. He shows up every night, and I think that he has that competitive gene that you have to be great in the NBA. Wemby has it. Everyone talks about it with Michael Jordan. Kobe Bryant had it. I think Jason Tatum has it. I think Anthony Edwards has it. I think Cooper Flagg has it. And so on. You have to be a competitive psycho. And when the undefeated, number one ranked Arizona Wildcats went into Allen Fieldhouse and Darryn Peterson sat out because he was kind of sick, that doesn't exactly scream competitive psycho. Sitting out in the second half against A.J. Dybantsa, your top competition to be the number one overall pick, sitting out in the second half of that game doesn't exactly scream competitive psycho. Missing almost half of your team's games this year because of cramps and other questionable injuries doesn't exactly scream competitive psycho. I'm going to start calling him D&P Peterson because the guy just doesn't play. Dybantsa and Boozer play. Dybantsa played 40 minutes the other night and scored 36 points. Why? Because his team needed him to. And that is the kind of player that I think every team in the NBA should want to build their team around. You want to draft players that want to play basketball and are highly competitive. It also helps that Dybantsa is 6'9", 210 pounds, is shooting 37% from three on the year, and can also handle the basketball and create for his teammates. But the thing to me, and maybe this changes as March Madness rolls around, maybe Peterson really does have an issue with his legs. I don't know. I'm sure that medicals and things will come out and we'll learn. But right now, it's not a good look for him. You want competitive people in your building. And I think Dybantsa checks that box in a way that Peterson just doesn't. Now, speaking of competitive, I like competitive basketball, which means I probably won't be watching All-Star Weekend because it's not competitive. The guys in the dunk contest are not compelling. The guys in the three-point contest, I'm kind of interested by Damian Lillard being out there. But outside of that, not really interested. The game itself, it won't be competitive. I know, Wemby wants for it to be. I know Jamal Murray said that he'd be out there competing and so on. It won't be competitive because two guys playing hard isn't going to fix the other 22 guys that we see. All-Star Weekend's coming up. You're not fixing it. The NBA should just get rid of it because the guys just don't care. They don't want to be there. They'd rather be in Cancun or some other luxurious place. That's just the very simple reality of it. So, the NBA, if you want to fix tanking, find the crap out of these franchises. Don't draft Darryn Peterson number 1 if you're an NBA franchise. And the NBA should just completely cut out All-Star Weekend. It's not doing anybody any good. It's just the very simple reality of it. That's going to do it for the video. Do me a favor, subscribe. Got a lot more hoop stuff coming out as the year progresses, so make sure you are subscribed, and I will talk to you again soon.